Megwich Keche Amonatu means thank you, O Great Spirit. Way high, way high, ho. Way high, way high, ho. Way high, way high, ho. Way way high, way high, ho. Make which KJ money to way high, way high, ho. Way way high, way high, ho. Way high, way high, ho. Way high, way high, ho. Way way high, way high, ho. Way way high, way high, ho. Make which KJ money to way way high, way high, ho. 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 Make which KJ money to way way high, way high, ho. Way way high, way high, ho.
Bruchim habaim b'shem Adonai. A warm and heartfelt welcome to each of you, my clergy colleagues, my friends, my neighbors, members of the different households of faith, community leaders, those who are gathered here in the sanctuary today, and each of you who are joining us, gracing us with your virtual presence and participation in this interfaith gathering of gratitude. We come together in this tent of Jacob for the purpose of uplifting our shared values and responsibility for one another, for the privilege of celebrating gratitude, of the source of mystery, goodness, and abundance, naming our shared responsibility of stewardship for the earth. The source of creation charges us, let us make humankind in our image, B'Tselem Elohim, after our likeness, Genesis 1:29. Humankind is entrusted to be good stewards of everything that is creeping, that walks upon the earth, and all foliage, herbs, plants, the earth itself. B'Tselem Elohim. In the image of the divine, we are all created, and we are all responsible for one another, for this world of ours, and for shaping a sustainable future. I am truly grateful to you, my friends, and my neighbors of different faith traditions, when we rally together to feed the hungry, to speak out for the vulnerable in our midst, to protect the inherent dignity and human rights of the one whose rights and voices have been marginalized. And at the most soul-crushing moments, strengthen us, O source of mystery, to reject the dangerous rhetoric of Americans like retired General Michael Flynn when he asserted this week that there ought to be one religion in the United States of America. This interfaith community knows better. We affirm our sacred differences. Guide us to show up in person and in spirit with the hundreds of pastors who sit with the mother of Ahmaud Arbery, to affirm that we will not stand by idly when a young man is lynched in broad daylight in 2021, when he is hunted, when he is cornered and killed for jogging while black in a white neighborhood in Georgia. We affirm the sacred in our shared humanness. Strengthen us to speak out and be outraged when in our own backyards teenagers sport swastikas on their person and greet one another as they did this week in my children's high school in Rhinebeck, New York, or what was my children's high school a decade and a half ago. In the halls of Rhinebeck High School, embolden us, my friends, to live our values. We need one another. We need to prioritize dialogue, to cultivate communication, to deepen understandings, to sharpen priorities, to cherish diversity and value dignity, justice, and responsibility if we are to hope for a way forward. When we have forfeited our souls, enable us to cultivate humility. When we have become apathetic, inspire us. When we have become careless, turn us toward one another. How do we begin to prioritize our own humanness and the humanness of the next person? In our oral tradition, Ecclesiastes Rabbah 7:1 teaches, the Holy One led Adam, humankind, through the Garden of Eden and said, I created all my beautiful works for your sake. Take heed not to corrupt and destroy my world, for if you corrupt it, there is no one to make it right after you. I have given you care for it. If you don't step up to this holy stewardship, there will be no one else to do it. From the old Dutch church, God in his love for us lent us this planet.
God in his love for us lent
From Redeemer Lutheran Church, for the beauty of the earth. The prayer from the American Indian Mother Earth, presented by Bill Clare from Holy Cross, Santa Cruz.
The American Indians, they live close to the earth. They respect it, and they try to live in harmony with it. Here is a prayer of theirs. Mother Earth, hear your child. As I sit here on your lap of grass, I listen to the echoes of your voice and my brother the wind, as he blows from all corners and directions. The soft and gentle raindrops are the tears you cry for your children. Teach me the lessons you offer, to nurture my children as you nurture yours, to learn the lessons of the four kingdoms that make up the world of physical things, and to learn to walk the path chosen so long ago. Mother Earth, hear your child. Be a bond between the worlds of earth and spirit. Let the winds echo the knowledge of the grandfathers who await, unseen, yet visible, if I only turn my eyes to their world. Let me hear their voices in the winds that blow to the east. From the east, I seek the lessons of childhood, to see with the trusting innocence of a small one the lessons of spirit given in love by our Creator. From the south, to learn the ways of questioning, the fire and independence of adolescence, the truths and how they help us grow along this path. From the west, where the grandfathers teach us acceptance of responsibility that come during the years of marriage and family, that my own children grow strong and true. From the north, where the elders who by their long lives have learned and stored wisdom and knowledge, and learn to walk in balance and harmony with our mother, the earth. Mother Earth, hear your child. Hold my hand as I walk my path in this world. Guide me to the lessons I seek. Bring me closer to our Creator until I return to the western direction to once again enter the world of spirit where the sacred fire awaits. And I rejoin the council of the elders in the presence of the one who created all.
As a group, we have always been committed to holding up a teaching in our midst as we come together in gratitude. This evening, our colleague, our friend, my teacher and my partner in Tikkun Olam, in healing the world, Reverend Dr. Gregory Simpson, steps forward to present our teaching, Grateful Justice.
We give thanks to Creator God for this time of communion with one another. We give thanks to the Creator of all things. We give thanks. Today, or this evening, I thought I would talk a little bit about some things that have been weighing on my spirit. Some things that, within the context of the community, within the context of our world, within the context of our faith traditions, have found resonance with me. We often don't think about what it takes to have people in society experience wholeness, harmony, love, or justice. We usually don't recognize the significance of the earth, the environment, or the air we breathe. We don't realize how easy it is to take for granted the simplest pleasures of life. Clean water, good education, healthy food, access to recreational spaces, comfortable homes, and safe surroundings. It's so easy to take for granted that by just being here in this space, we have an opportunity to collectively transform towns and cities and counties and states and countries and the world. We can transform these spaces into something that we can all find wholesomeness in. So easy to take for granted, and at the same time, so easy to assume it's not possible. Even when the collective spirits of our ancestors have shown us otherwise. In this past month, many environmentalists and climate justice advocates and government officials and policy wonks and concerned communities from across the globe were focused on the 26th UN Climate Change Conference of the Parties. It took place coincidentally in my birth home, Glasgow, Scotland. Go figure. It took place between October 31st and November 12th, and extensive dialogues and negotiations and celebrations and prayers and rituals and protests filled this space, a place called the Scottish Event Campus in Glasgow, a place over 3,000 miles away from Kingston. If you had an opportunity to read the New York Times article this past Friday, they laid out 6 takeaways from that event. I'll just mention 3 that struck a chord. The first was that time for action is running out. Limiting the rise in global temperatures to just 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels is and remains the top priority. The second thing they pointed to was who needs to cut and how much. This focused primarily on the wealthiest states or nations, taking and requiring them to take meaningful steps to fulfill their financial obligations to poorer countries. And the third that I want to highlight was the call for disaster aid and regulations that would increase that aid. This actually turned out to be one of the biggest fights at the summit in Glasgow. We think about these things and we don't understand that the wealthiest of all nations, which are disproportionately responsible for global warming, should compensate poorer countries for the damages caused by rising temperatures, decreasing agricultural output, increased disease burden, and exponentially decreasing economic security. But what was most concerning to me, at least to me, was not about the deals and the meetings and the high-profile figures, of which there were many, but it is in those voices that were not heard, that were not present, those voices that are voiceless, that require us as individuals of faith communities and others to stand in their stead. You may know the name Vanessa Nakati, a Ugandan climate activist whose picture was cropped from a photo taken at a conference in Davos, Switzerland last January. It sparked a social media frenzy. What was the problem? Erasure of a black body. Erasure of a black body. Erasure of an African voice from the conversation. This is nothing new. Marginalization of black and brown voices have been commonplace for centuries. But with global issue, this global issue of climate change, we must ask ourselves, you must ask yourselves, whether it will be essential to bring as many voices to the table to solve the problems that we all are going to face and all are facing. Wouldn't every perspective matter, is a question that I have to ask. Wouldn't the creativity and ingenuity of opinions across ethnicity, across culture, across religion, across race, across gender, across age, wouldn't that matter? Isn't that important? As forcibly as I can, I would say yes. Yes, every voice matters. Every opinion matters. Every solution matters. And all need to be heard. Isn't that what makes us, our shared humanity, thrive and prosper in whatever value system you deem essential? Isn't it the diversity of our presence that provides and lends value to all that we do? But as I think of this kind of global setting, I want to just bring us back just for a minute. Not go so far. We don't have to go that far. What about right here in Ulster County? What about right here in Kingston, for that matter? Shouldn't the voices of the many right here be heard as well? Why shouldn't they? Why should we not give the opportunity to those who are supposedly voiceless, for those who have needs, just as we do. Why don't we give them a voice? If we want to be grateful for something as we move into this Thanksgiving period, we need to be thankful that each of us can influence change. That's what we must be thankful for. We need to understand that we, right here, right in this space, with the support of God Almighty, can do and move mountains. We can stand on the truths of our faiths and proclaim justice rooted in the love of our respective deities. We can stand on justice because we know what is right. Our faith traditions teach us that. We can stand for inclusivity because we know what it's like to be excluded. For me, that has meant being grateful, being very grateful that I can see the justice in the closure of the Dan Scammer plant in Newburgh. I am thankful for the University of Albany and my colleague, Professor Aaron Bell, who understands why PFAS is a problem in our Black and brown communities. I am grateful for our Kingston government, our local government, who recognize environmental issues are important and need to be highly prioritized. I'm thankful for the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act, which promises to create opportunities for environmental justice communities throughout this great state. I'm grateful for a legislature that saw it fit to put the right to clean air, clean water, and a healthy environment on the ballot, despite the fact that it didn't pass. I am grateful that more and more people begin to recognize that marginalized populations experience disparities in access of natural resources like clean water and are exposed to harmful environmental hazards. I am grateful that there are more and more avenues for people to stand up for justice. I am grateful that environmental justice, which integrates physical and environmental science with race, class, and power issues, is becoming known to more and more people. I'm even more grateful that advocates in the environmental justice space see the connections between ecology and environment, their lived experiences, and understanding of the natural sciences, of STEM education. I'm going to shift a little bit for a few minutes. In a state where the failure rate in high school STEM subjects, in students of color, borders on the 70 to 80% range, and in the mid-Hudson Valley, where less than 2% of our high school students graduate with an understanding of the physical sciences, science, technology, engineering, and math. I am grateful that the connections are being made that strong environmental justice requires a more profound understanding of our natural world. There are policies, there are programs, there are ways that we are making creative adjustments to our education system so that our BIPOC brothers and sisters can experience wholesomeness in their life. I am grateful that to truly realize whole communities, we must see and experience all the skills that are available to us for all people, and that education must be holistic, inclusive, and most of all, accessible. I am thankful that as broadband technologies become more and more available, that more people, more of those students, those young people, will see themselves in the solutions. See that it cuts across their gender, or their culture, or their ethnicity, or their race, or their religion. Yes, I am grateful for all of that. But most of all, I am thankful for a vision that doesn't alienate or separate, but invites and uplifts. I am grateful that we as a community of interfaith people can, through our different points of entry into justice, do that work of giving and sharing or mentoring or supporting organizations in the region, and most importantly, disrupt those divisive practices that seek to keep us down. So what next? What can you do right here, right now? What actions can you take that can create wholeness and wholesomeness in our community? I'd invite you to learn more about things like environmental justice. Hold power accountable for their actions when they are divisive. Go on websites like the White House Environmental Justice Advisory Council website and let your voice be heard. Read books such as The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein. This is a powerful book. This tells you about the problem of zoning, of redlining. Read books like A Terrible Things to Waste, Environmental Racism and the Assault on the American Mind by Harriet A. Washington. These types of words and these teachings from these books will make you more aware of the complex structures that we are dealing with, complexities of education and race and environmental issues across our country. Once you understand that complexity, you have no choice but to be inclusive. There is no one solution. There's no one way that these problems will be met and solved. I'll invite you to download this app on your cell phone. The app is called Climate Action Now. Climate Action Now, and you will see how you right here can influence change through legislative actions and learning about what climate justice and environmental justice is. Lastly, I invite you to create opportunities to show love in your giving of self, as a volunteer, in your gifts, as mentors to young people, and as friends to the immigrant. Why? Because being grateful for what you have means standing for justice for those who can't. Why do these things? Because you can and because you must. Amen.
From generation to generation, we share responsibility. Alexandra Schleuderer, Congregation Emmanuel's cantorial soloist, and Bob Helfand, our guitar accompanist. Words by Helen Weaver, read by Reverend Dr. Leonisa Ardizzone, community minister from Vassar College. And as we wait for Leonisa to appear, I want to express my gratitude for her partnership in creating this evening's program.
Words from Helen Weaver. O, our Mother Earth, blessed is your name. Blessed are your fields and forests, your rocks and mountains, your grasses and trees and flowers, and every green and growing thing. Blessed are your streams and lakes and rivers, the oceans where our life began, and all your waters that sustain our bodies and refresh our souls. Blessed is the air we breathe, your atmosphere that surrounds us and binds us to every living thing. Blessed are all creatures who walk along your surface, or swim in your waters, or fly through your air, for they are all our relatives. Blessed are all people who share this planet, for we are all one family, and the same Spirit moves through us all. Blessed is the sun, our day star, bringer of morning and the heat of summer, giver of light and life. Blessed is the moon, our night lamp, ruler of the tides, protector of all women, and guardian of our dreams. Blessed are the stars and planets, the timekeepers, who fill our nights with beauty and our hearts with awe. O great Spirit, whose voice we hear in the wind and whose face we see in the morning sun, blessed is your name. Help us to remember that you are everywhere and teach us the way of peace.
Ahavat Olam, all the world sings to you, presented by CEHV Zemer. Reverend Bob Janice Dillon from the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Catskills brings us Simplify, edited excerpts from Walden by Henry David Thoreau.
Hello, this is Bob Janice Dillon, Minister of Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Catskills. For this ecological service, I thought I would read a reading in the great outdoors. We're outdoors. It's still great, even when it's rainy. So this one is by the transcendentalist Henry David Thoreau, who wrote a book called Walden in 1854, after he had an experiment living in the woods on his own, more or less, to discover things about the soul, about nature, about human relationship to the earth. So I'm going to read an excerpt from that book, changing a few of the terms that now may seem a bit misogynistic because of the man and the he, and so I'll change a few of those, but other than that, it is unchanged. This is Henry David Thoreau from Walden. Most of the luxuries and many of the so-called comforts of life are not only not indispensable, but positive hindrances to the elevation of mankind. With respect to luxuries and comforts, the wisest have ever lived a more simple and meager life than the poor. The ancient philosophers, Chinese, Hindu, Persian, and Greek, were a class than which none has been poorer in outward riches, and none so rich in inward. None can be an impartial or wise observer of human life but from the vantage ground of what we should call voluntary poverty. Of a life of luxury, the fruit is luxury, whether in agriculture or commerce or literature or art. To be a philosopher is not merely to have subtle thoughts, nor even to found a school, but so to love wisdom as to live according to its dictates, a life of simplicity, independence, magnanimity, and trust. It is to solve some of the problems of life, not only theoretically, but practically. The philosopher is in advance of her age, even in the outward form of her life. He is not fed, sheltered, clothed, warmed like his contemporaries. How can a person be a philosopher and not maintain their vital heat by better methods than other people? When a person is warmed by the several modes which I have described, what does she want next? Surely not more warmth of the same kind, and more and richer food, larger and more splendid houses, finer and more abundant clothing, more numerous, incessant and hotter fires, and the like. I went to the woods because I wanted to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life, and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not, when I came to die, discover that I had not lived. I did not wish to live what was not life. Living is so dear. Nor did I wish to practice resignation, unless it was quite necessary. I wanted to live deep and suck out all the marrow of life, to live so sturdily and Spartan-like as to put to rout all that was not life, to cut a broad swathe and shave close, to drive life into a corner and reduce it to its lowest terms. And if it proved to be mean, why then to get the whole and genuine meanness of life of it, and publish its meanness to the world. Or if it were sublime, to know it by experience, and be able to give a true account of it in my next excursion. For most people, it seems to me, are in a strange uncertainty about it, whether it is of the devil or of God, and have somewhat hastily concluded that it is a chief end of man here to glorify God and enjoy him forever. Still, we live meanly, like ants. Our life is frittered away by detail. An honest person has hardly need to count out more than her 10 fingers, or in extreme cases, she may add her 10 toes and lump the rest. Simplicity, simplicity, simplicity. I say, let your affairs be 2 or 3, and not 100 or 1,000. Instead of 1,000,000, count half a dozen, and keep your accounts close to your thumbnail. In the midst of this chopping sea of civilized life, such are the clouds and storms and quicksands and 1,001 items to be allowed for, that a person has to live, if she would not founder and go to the bottom and not make her port at all, by dead reckoning. And she must be a great calculator indeed who succeeds. Simplify, simplify.
Before we move to closing, I want to say that this evening I'm going to put that app on my phone. Thank you for bringing me to where I need to be going as we move forward. Thank you for choosing in the midst of your schedules to make this a priority. We have a tradition in Judaism at the end of Passover to say next year in Yerushalayim, it's a yearning for wholeness and peace. I say next year, may we be gathered together with the members of our congregation and with our colleagues from the Kingston Interfaith Council all together in one space safely. As we began, so we close this evening with Reverends Nick Miles and Linda Miles, ministers in the Reformed Church in America, who have the last word of uplifting us toward gratitude.
Many people across the world are rooted in cultures of gratitude. The Sioux have a word, mitokioesin, which means that we are related, not only as human beings, but to all elements of creation surrounding us. And so from the Haudenosaunee tradition, we want to offer words that come before all else, expressing our gratitude straight to the ones who bless the world with their gifts.
We have been given the duty to live in balance and harmony with each other and all living things. With our minds and our hearts together, we send thanksgiving, love, and respect to each other as people.
We thank our Mother the Earth, for she gives us everything that we need for life. She supports our feet as we walk about upon her. She continues to care for us, just as she has from the beginning of time. We send thanksgiving, love, and respect.
We give thanks to all the waters of the world for quenching our thirst, for providing strength and nurturing life for all beings. We send thanksgiving, love, and respect.
We turn our thoughts to all of the fish who cleanse and purify the water. They also give themselves to us as food. We send thanksgiving, love, and respect.
Now we turn to the vast fields of plant life. They sustain many life forms. We send thanks, love, respect, and look forward to seeing plant life for many generations to come.
When we look about us, we see the berries are still here, providing us with delicious foods. May we send our thanksgiving, love, and respect to the berries.
With one mind, we honor and thank all the food plants that we harvest. Since the beginning of time, the grains, vegetables, beans, and fruit have helped the people survive. We send thanksgiving, love, and respect to all the plant foods.
The medicine herbs of the world are always waiting and ready to heal us, as are those special few who remember how to use the plants for healing. We send thanksgiving, love, and respect to the medicines and the keepers of the medicines.
The earth has many families of trees. Some provide shelter and shade, others fruits and beauty and many useful gifts. Many peoples of the world recognize a tree as a symbol of peace and strength. We send thanksgiving, love, and respect to the tree life.
The beautiful animal life have many things to teach us as people. We see them in our homes, fields, and forests, sharing their lives with us. We send thanksgiving, love, and respect to all the animals.
Our Creator gave the birds the gift of beautiful songs. Their voices remind us to enjoy and appreciate life. To all the birds, we send thanksgiving, love, and respect.
The powers of the four winds refreshes and purifies the air we breathe, blessing us with a change of seasons and giving us strength. To the four winds we send thanksgiving, love, and respect.
With lightning and thundering voices, the thunder beings bring from the west the water that renews life. With all creation, we send thanksgiving, love, and respect for the refreshing waters of the thunder beings.
And we now send greetings and thanks to the sun. Each day he travels the sky from east to west, bringing the light of a new day. We send thanksgiving, love, and respect to the sun.
The moon likes the night sky. She is the leader of all women all over the world, and she governs the movement of the ocean tides. By her changing face, we measure time. We send layer upon layer of gratitude, love, and respect for Grandmother Moon.
We give thanks to the stars who are spread across the sky like jewelry. We see them at night, helping the moon to light the darkness and bringing dew to the gardens and growing things. When we travel at night, they guide us home. We send thanksgiving, love, and respect.
We offer our gratitude to the enlightened teachers who have blessed us throughout the ages. When we forget how to live in harmony, they remind us of the way we were instructed to live as people. We send thanksgiving, love, and respect to these caring teachers.
And we now turn our thoughts to the Creator, or Great Spirit, and send all the gifts of creation. Everything we need to live a good life is here on our Mother Earth. For all the love that is still around us, we send our choicest words of thanks to the Creator. And so we have now arrived at the place where we end our words. And of all the things that we have named, it is not our intention to leave anything out. If something was forgotten, we leave it to each individual to send such greeting and thanks in their own way. And now may the Creator of all things in our life go with us to do what the Creator wants us to do, for we have a responsibility to love all people, to love all creation, and where there is wrong, may we speak up and go forth to correct those wrongs. Amen.